Hello and welcome back. Today we are looking at the Panther. The Panther is one of the battle mechs that is most iconic of the Draconis Combine. Design was originally commissioned in 2739 at the behest of the Star League to provide fire support for other light, fast moving mech units. With the first models going to the Star League Defense Force to fight bandits along the periphery border, the original PNT-8Z model underwent a revision after the disastrous Battle of St. John in 2759, when it was revealed that its main weapon, the Tranel large laser, was inefficient in both range and firepower, with the immense waste heat generated. Luckily, the Panther had also proved itself to be both quite hardy, sporting 6.5 tons of armor, and maneuverable thanks to the four Lexington lifter jump jets in the legs for a total jumping distance of 120 meters. Thus, an attempt to fix its one deficiency was made by Star League engineers, replacing the laser with a Lord's Light PPC. The swap in weaponry, along with a superior armor composite, gave the PNT 9R Panther a new lease in life, such that it has been seen over 3 centuries of continuous use since its introduction. The Draconis Combine inherited Alician Weapons Panther Factory on New Oslo when the Star League dissolved and quickly put the production line to work drawing or building new Panthers for the DCMS. Their first large-scale use by Creative warriors came during the First Succession War in the Battle of Quintian, when the Second Legion of Vega used their Panthers to severely maul the slower, heavier mechs of the 42nd Avalon Hussars, while avoiding return fire. Though throughout the Succession Wars, the Combine was the only sufficient user of the Panther, often pairing it with the Jenner in a deadly combination of speed and firepower. Though the other successor states employed Panthers in smaller numbers, these were either the result of battlefield salvage or older League era 8Z models. The Panther also proved itself a deadly urban combatant, using its mobility to easily navigate the more restricted space in a city environment and take out heavier opponents from rooftop sniping perches with its main weapon. Lyran mech warriors eventually took to nicknaming it the mech, or nicknaming uh, the mech the alley cat, for its propensity for conduct to conduct dark alleyway muggings. Determined or demand for the Panther continued to increase, forcing Alician to build a secondary factory on Jarret to keep up. In an ironic twist, both factories were eventually lost. New Oslo first transferred ownership to the Free Roslac Republic following its creation in 3034, ensuring the Panther soon became a mainstay of the Kungsarmé. When during the invasion of the clans, both Ashkelon and New Oslo were swiftly conquered by Clan Ghost Bear. And another free Roslac Republic Panther plant on Stalis was also lost to Clan Wolf, while Alician Weapons Crash built a new line on Takdo in 3053. They could not maintain their pre-invasion production levels and focused on spare parts and refit kits instead. Eventually, Wakazashi Enterprises bought the production license for the Panther and began rolling out new variants for the new Samarkand factory. These have gone on to serve in every DCMS unit since, including the bloody years of the Jihad. Weapons and equipment. The Panther's primary weapon is the Lord's Light PPC mounted on the right arm, boasting one of the highest damage outputs of any weapon. Unfortunately, the PPC is also one of the most heat intensive. Though many officers see it as a good learning opportunity for raw recruits to spend their first years piloting a Panther to gain experience managing its heat curve within 13 single heat sinks. The PPC is backed up by a reliable Telos 4-shot SRM-4 launcher mounted in the center torso, supplied by 1 ton of ammunition in the left torso. The mix of long and short range weapons allow the Panther to stay at range and inflict damage on its enemies and close in and use the SRM-4 to make the killing blow. Now, the variants. We do have quite a few variants here. Now, the 8Z, this was the early version of the Panther built in limited numbers and was first used by the SLDF. It mounted an ancient uh, Trinal large laser known for heat and maintenance issues, another heatsink, and 1 ton more armor, along with more advanced communications equipment and a lighter fire control computer than the later 9R. Conjuncture suggests that all 8Z models were upgraded to the same successful configuration as the later 9R model, but retained their different electronics. We have the 9ALAG prizing speed. The Amphrig light assault groups modify their Panthers for speed, dropping the 9R's jump jets to make room for a larger engine to attain a maximum speed of 86.4 kilometers an hour. We have the 9RH, a modification of the standard 9R built for the Combine's Roslak regulars and later Kungsarmé's Berserker Lances during the late Succession Wars in an attempt to keep up with the Laren development of the Hatchetman. By removing the SRM-4 and associated ammo, a hatchet can be wielded in the right arm. Now we have the 10K. The 10K Panther is a high-tech upgrade of the 9R model introduced by Wakizashi Enterprises. The chassis has been rebuilt using endo-steel construction techniques and to save weight used to add the Artemis 4 fire control systems to the missile launcher, as well as upgrade the original PPC to the Lord's Light 2 ERPPC. Since its introduction, the 10K has gone on to replace the 9R as the most common model employed by the DCMS. We have the 10ALAG. After the DCMS released an upgrade kit for the standard 9K Panthers, it was only a matter of time until the Amphrig variant received a similar upgrade. Much like the 10K, the 10ALAG upgrades the PPC to an extended range model, but rather than augment the SRM rack with an Artemis system, the heat sinks were improved to double strength. Although 3 of them were removed, the weight savings did allow for the engine to be upgraded further to a 210 rated model, bringing the 10 ALAG Panther up to a maximum ground speed of 97 kilometers an hour. The 10K2. The 10K2 Panther retains the ERPPC of the 10K and removes the Artemis 4 as well as one single heatsink. But in exchange, the remaining heat sinks have been upgraded to double strength versions, alleviating the heat problems that plague the 10K. While in addition, the SRM4 has while an additional SRM4 has been added. I'm sorry. All right, we have the 10KA. The 10KA Panther is a field refit of the Panther 10K. It removes the ERPPC and replaces it with a standard PPC to alleviate some heat problems. All right, now we move on down. We have the 12A. The 12A Panther is an upgrade to the Panther that attempts to alleviate the heat problems for which the 10K became infamous. In order to do this, 3 of the single heat sinks were removed and the rest were upgraded to double strength versions. The ERPPC was replaced with an ER large laser and a medium pulse laser. With the SRM-4 launcher, or while the SRM-4 launcher has also been upgraded to a Streak SRM-4, it also utilizes a targeting computer and additional armor. We have the 12K2. The 12K2 Panther is also an upgrade of the 10K and is almost identical to the 12K2, but as has replaced the two SRM-4 launchers with a single MRM-10 and an additional ton of armor. Let's see, we have a 12KC. This Panther was introduced in the Dark Age. It uses 11 clan spec double heat sinks to dissipate the heat from the ERPPC and medium laser. The 12KC carries a single C3 boosted slave into combat and is protected by ballast reinforced armor. We have the 13K. Designed before the Jihad, this version only entered service after that war started. An XL engine increases the mech's top speed to 86 kilometers an hour, while 8 improved jump jets maximizes mobility on the battlefield. The XL gyro allows the PNT 13K to carry an SRM-4 and a plasma rifle. We have the 14S. The variant produced by the Word of Blake replaces the PPC with a snub-nosed PPC, and for further potential damage output, the 14S carries a pair of RL-15s. The Endosteel chassis supports enough improved jump jets to vault the Panther up to 180 meters at a time. 13 single heat sinks keep the machine's heat in check, and the 14S is further modified to carry a small cockpit. We have the 14R. This Dark Age variant carries an ERPPC and a clan spec Streak SRM-4 in the center torso. A standard fusion engine retains the typical speed of 64 kilometers an hour, but a supercharger does allow the mech to sprint at 86 kilometers an hour. 10 clan spec double heat sinks are carried, and protection is provided by carrying the maximum amount of ballast, reinforced armor, and endosteel chassis that the chassis can carry. The Streak SRM ammo is carried in a case protected bay in the left torso. We have the 16K. This variant from Wakizashi is produced by or protected by light ferrofibrous armor on endosteel chassis. The ERPPC is flanked by two Streak SRM-4s, but even with that, 10 double heat sinks are able to keep heat levels under control. Now we have the C variant. The PNTC is a modification of the 10K model and simply swaps the Artemis 4 for C3 Slave. We have the CA. The PNT CA is a simple weapon swap using the cooler firing standard PPC and used in place of the PNTC's ERPPC. Now, there are a couple custom variants here. I'm not going to get into them. Um, some of the design quirks is improved targeting for short and nimble jumper. Let's see. The right is based on the Panther. The right possesses a compact engine and mounts heavy PPC and two other ER medium lasers. Let's see. Out of all the pictures, and there are quite a few here, as a popular mech would have, we have the original one done here for the original technical readout by Dwayne Luce. And let's see, we have a PNT 9. This is from Joe Bask, penciler, and Jim Nelson, inker. I think this is from the 3050. Let's see, then we start getting, I think, from some of the novelizations here. Brett Evans had done this for the 3050 upgraded technical manual or readout. Let's see, we have the 13K. And this is by Chris Lewis for the 3085 manual. Let's see, this is the one that they have on Serrano.net's cover page for the Panther here by Dale. Oh, I'm going to murder this one. Eden. I'm sure I'm messing this one up. And this is Recognition Guide Il Clan. So I'm guessing that this is a clan variant of it. All right. Now, this is from some of the books from the looks of it from Dan Schuler, Camo Specs for the Free Rosalog Republic. The 13th Merrick Militia Panther variant of this by Christina Wald. Field Manual Free Worlds League back in 97. This looks like some cover art here. Unlimited Panther CCG, so from the collector card game from Tom Baxa. I think I'm pronouncing that right, and if I'm not, I do apologize. We also have another one, collector card game Counter Strike Panther by Doug Chaffee. Let's see. We have a Panther from Mech Warrior DA, Dark Age. Let's see. Sources Abita Mashos Dozer. I'm sure I'm messing that name up, and I do apologize. Okay, MechWarrior Online showing a Panther here, and this is from Alex Iglesias. Nicely done. Now, for some of the cardstock for some of the starting box sets or whatever, we have the Panther here, and this is by Chris Muller. And let's see, we have actually, I think I've got this one from another one of the starter boxes, and this is missing the artist, but Plastech. Let's see, and then we have two more here. Now, this one I know I don't have, but this one, artist is Dude RB for the photo. Now, this is Alpha Strike Lance. And last but not least, artist for the photo is Mai. I don't know this variant for what box set, but I'm going to say it's probably from a beginning set or something like that. This is Intersphere Striker Lance, so that might be from one of the little box sets that they have nowadays. All right. With all that, let's get on over to our D6 stats and see how well I've done today. All right, so we don't have a huge list of things to go through because, thankfully, the Panther does not have, a shopping list of weapons here. But getting on through here, so our Panther being at Walker scale, crew of one, it's a 35-ton battle mech. No passengers. Cargo capacity is still being kept at 25 kilograms. The cost here is 2,485,710 C-bills. For anyone that's got that sitting around, you can pick one of these up at your local mech dealership, I'm sure. Altitude range is going to be ground. Our maneuverability comes out to being a 3D plus 1. Now, for the weight of being a 35-ton mech, we lose a plus 1. So it takes us to a 2D plus 2. But with the speed that it goes, having a max run speed of 6, that gives me a plus 2, so it brings it back up to a 3D plus 1. All right, our movement being 64.8 kilometers an hour and a jump range of 120 meters. Our body strength, still retaining that 3D plus 1, seeing that we've had a couple 35-ton mechs already, but it does have 104 armor points. Weapons, we have two weapons listed here. We have the SRM-4. This is located in the center torso, Walker scale. Fire control is being kept at 2D. And it has 4D for the damage, and we have the whole list here, which means I should probably see about shrinking the picture a little bit so I'm not covering over our words. All right, so 4D for the first missile and a plus 1 for each extra missile, which if you were doing a firing all four at once, which would be what we would typically do for start or for Battletech here, uh, we're having 7D worth of damage, but it's a close range weapon. So just looking at it in that regard. Likewise, we then have our PPC. That's in our left arm. So it's funny because sometimes it's being placed in the right, sometimes it's being mentioned in the left. The official book for 3025 states that it's in the left arm. That's where we have it here today at Walker scale with a fire control of 2D and a damage of 7D. Now, a nice mech for just kind of coming up and being able to scare the dickens out of anyone in another light mech, especially like a locust or something. You can do a lot of damage with a PPC. You can start really kind of whittling away with the armor. And having the jump jets to kind of jump out of harm's way gives a lot of flexibility, which was kind of mentioned here. Um, the smaller mechs really do city wise because they don't have that extra width and bulk that we find with a lot of the bigger mechs. The skinnier legs and so on and forth is really depicted here with a lot of the lighter mechs and all that. And then we get into the mediums and all that, which can still kind of do it. But once we start getting into heavy and assault mechs, I think we start clipping into buildings left and right, especially with smaller, narrower streets. So, just looking at it in those regards. But, a nice iconic mech that's been used throughout time and really I don't think it got hit uh, quite as severely as some of the other mechs with the fallout between Harmony Gold and Battletech or FASA way back when. So it was one of those mechs they could rely on being the face of the franchise throughout all the other things going on. Um, and I think that's why, especially when they brought the clans in, they really made more like the Timber Wolf or the Mad Cat, uh, really an iconic mech to kind of showcase everything, trying to distance themselves away so they didn't have to worry about any legal issues and that. But in that meantime, taking for the 3025, the Panther also did a very good job at that. And, let's face facts, in a light mech sense, it is a very scary mech. I know that we feel a little a panther uh, quite frequently. Usually, what we were trying to do is maybe knock a little bit of the armor off, throwing in some extra heat sinks so we could manage that a little bit better. Uh, our biggest quarrels came with a lot of mechs just trying to manage that heat so we didn't have to worry about it. But you take the good with the bad on some of these, and if you've got it at a longer range, you can kind of snipe off every other round while you're jumping around trying to manage your heat. So, with that being said, thank you so very much for joining me today. It's wonderful having you here. I enjoy the comments, by the way, for those that have been making comments, some great backstories that people have been having. Uh, keep them coming. It's great to listen. These are franchises that hey, I started back when I was 12 into a lot of the role playing games and all that stuff. Uh, so I've got a long history. And I do admit, when Battletech started getting past beyond the Jihad, um, I didn't get the books because it was harder getting us all together. It didn't mean I left it. I still had the love and I'd keep pulling the books out, but I just didn't keep up with the stuff past that, which is why I always go to the wiki, trying to get the more up to date versions of some of the mechs that we get here today. For some of the stuff that I just don't have the actual books, doesn't mean if I can get the guys together, I wouldn't pick them up again. But as it is, it's not the easiest trying to get my friends together because our lives are just kind of chaotic and our schedules don't always hold up. So it's not that we don't want to try. It's just, some of those things. So we do what we can. With that, I hope you stay well. I hope you're doing well. And I'll see you in the next video.